Hey everyone, today I'm talking about box office. For those of you who are new to movie box office numbers, you've probably seen it represented in three different ways. That being domestic, which only covers the United States, international, which is pretty much everywhere else, and finally worldwide, which is the two of them combined. In the past, most blockbuster movies have been aimed towards an American or Western style audience, so you can imagine that they'll come out in droves to watch these types of stories. And when you're one of the more wealthier nations in the world, this usually leads to some pretty big box office numbers. However, this trend in domestic box office being the biggest indicator of what a blockbuster is going to be is slowly changing. But I'll get into that a little bit. First, let's talk about international box office. International box office historically hasn't been a major contributor to worldwide box office, or at least has been completely dwarfed by the domestic box office. However, as I alluded to earlier, international is becoming a critical element in determining box office success worldwide, and that's mostly because of one particular country. The country with the most people in the world, China. There's been a great surge in the amount of people going to watch movies in China. As a result, international sales have boosted significantly. Most of today's blockbuster movies cost a considerable amount of money to make. And without the Chinese market backing them up, there's a very good likelihood that they're going to be losing money, or at the very least, be considered a disappointment from a box office perspective. It's gotten to the point now where a movie can only really achieve blockbuster status if the Chinese audience buys into it. Each country has their own different taste of what they want to see in movies, so you can imagine not every blockbuster is going to align to those tastes. Given this, here are some general trends I've seen in what China looks for in a movie. Number 1, they've got to be action-based of some kind. Number 2, they like giant robots for some reason. And finally, 3, they love huge American movie stars. To put this in perspective, let's check out this table that shows the top 15 movies of 2017, which should be appearing right here. I'd first like to highlight the domestic share column, which shows a percentage of the movie box office that just went to domestic. As you can see, there's a ton of superhero movies, but you know what? The world is crazy about them right now, so that's not much of a surprise. However, one of the unusual movies on this list is number 8, Wolf Warrior 2. Wolf Warrior 2 is a Chinese-made movie that wasn't released to many screens worldwide, but opened almost exclusively in China. But look at the value of how much money it made. It made more than Thor Ragnarok, Wonder Woman, and even Justice League. What makes it even more striking is just look at that domestic share, 0.32%. That 0.32% equated to 858 million coming from international sales and only 2.7 million from domestic. 2017 saw the continuation of the Fast and Furious franchise as well as the Pirates of the Caribbean. But look at the domestic share that they got. 18% and 21%. Not necessarily very good for showing on the domestic side, but thanks to China and a lot of the international markets, those movies made a ton of cash. Heck, Fast and the Furious alone made $1 billion internationally. Similarly, China's love of Johnny Depp made the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie quite successful. And unfortunately for us, that probably means another sequel. Now let's check out the top 15 box office for this year. And you're gonna see a very similar story so far. Now check out this list. 4 out of the 15 movies are limited releases, almost exclusively released only in China. Between the 4 of them, they average about 340 million USD each. As you can see from the data, China has a significant impact on what happens on the worldwide box office stage. On that note, just a general reminder that in a couple of weeks is the deadline for the top 10 list selections, as well as your selections for Season 2's boxes. Hope you guys found that informative, and I guess I'll see you next time.